is your hands.
Why?
Cookies need love like everything does.
Neo!
Do you recognize me?
A part of you.
Yeah, that's how it works. Some bits you lose, some bits you keep. Remember what you were like when you first walked through my door? Jittery as a June bug. And now just look at you.
You helped me to get here, but my question is why? Where is this going? Where does it end?
I don't know.
You don't know or you won't tell me. Then why didn't you tell me about the architect? Why didn't you tell me about Zion and the ones before me? Why didn't you tell me the truth?
Because it wasn't time for you to know.
Tell me how I separated my mind from my body without jacking in. Tell me how I stopped 4 sentinels by thinking it. Can Zion be saved?
I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that question.
In our earlier discussions on The Matrix, links in the description, we unpacked how the original film dealt with Baudrillard's ideas of simulacra and simulation while crafting the foundations for the series' focus on determinism. Matrix Reloaded continued to run with these ideas of determinism, suggesting ideas of simulations within simulations, questioning whether the humanity trapped in Zion was ever truly free as they require machines to survive. This ultimately results in a Spinozan idea of free will, where humans are predetermined beings. Revolutions provides a final take on the ideas, suggesting that perhaps it was all down to choice after all. Kind of, but not really.
Why do you do it? Why? Why get up? Why keep fighting?
Because I choose to.
Throughout The Matrix, the primary source for change has always been love, at least for Neo. While the first 2 films keep love exclusively within the realm of the humans, Revolutions throws a spanner in the works. Beginning where Reloaded left off, the comatose Neo finds his consciousness at Mobile Avenue train station, with Mobile being a not-so-subtle anagram for limbo. There he meets with a family of computer programs who are smuggling their daughter out of the Matrix. Interestingly, the programs discuss love as not at all being exclusive to humanity.
I just have never.
Heard a program speak of love.
It is a human emotion.
No, it is a word. What matters is the connection the word implies.
Instead, they display that they are more than capable of love, resulting in a daughter who is a program without a purpose. Unfortunately for them, in the Matrix, such programs are destined to be deleted, hence their want to free their daughter from such a fate. This revelation is incredibly important for Neo. Prior to this, there was little evidence that he would be able to reason with the machines, that he'd be able to make them envision a peaceful future. But here, Neo is led to believe that there is hope for humanity, because machines possess the most basic and most cherished of all human abilities, the capacity to love. After getting rescued by Morpheus, Trinity and Seraph, Neo heads to the Oracle for advice. He asks about choice and whether she truly knows the outcomes of what will happen, to which she responds,
Everything that has a beginning has an end.
Meanwhile, Bane, infected by the consciousness of Smith, wakes up in the real world with nefarious intent. The same time his counterpart in the Matrix infects the Oracle, and damn near everyone else.
What did you do with Santi?
Cookies need love, like everything does.
You are a bastard.
You would know, Mom.
While Zion prepares for the imminent attack, Neo explains that he must go to the Machine City, as he believes that he can reason with them.
I know what I have to do.
What?
I have to take one of the ships. To go where? To the Machine City.
Bane tries to derail his plan by blinding him and taking Trinity hostage, but somehow Neo is able to use his powers in the quote-unquote real world once again and destroy him.
I can see you.
More on that later. Despite his ability to somehow form a telekinetic bubble against the oncoming missiles from the Machine City, Neo ultimately loses Trinity. Progressing to the city alone, he meets with the machine leader, aptly named Deus Ex Machina, itself a name for a plot device used to solve a seemingly unsolvable problem. With Zion on the brink of collapse, Neo explains that Smith poses a threat to the existence of both humanity and the machines.
The program Smith has grown beyond your control. Soon he will spread through the city as he spread through the Matrix. You cannot stop him, but I can. Peace.
He offers to destroy Smith in exchange for peace, and the machine obliges, plugging Neo into the Matrix for his final face-off with Smith.
You like what I've done with the place?
It ends tonight.
I know it does. I've seen it.
During this fight, Neo spouts off 2 lines which are sure to leave many viewers confused. First, when asked why he continues to fight, he answers,
Because I choose to.
But moments later, regarding the entire chain of events, he posits that
You were right, Smith. It was inevitable.
of course, these ideas feel like counterpoints, because they are. At once, Neo is saying that everything was down to his choice, and that it was also predetermined. So, what exactly is going on? Instead of a determinist approach arguing that all events which happen before a certain point directly influence future outcomes, Revolutions embraces fatalist ideas, suggesting that there is little causality and we have little power to affect our future. Thus, while previous films push for a narrative of Spinozan determinism, Revolutions ends the trilogy suggesting that things may be predetermined, but this is predetermined by who we are and the choices we make as a result of this, not by what events came before. With Neo fulfilling his side of the bargain, the machines reboot the Matrix and seemingly stop their assault on Zion, and the film ends with the Oracle and the Architect describing how the peace will only be temporary. But what if the choices that Neo made, and indeed the entire trilogy, was an illusion? I think it's important that we contend with some strange things that have occurred in Revolutions, bringing us back to our discussion of simulation within a simulation.
The first Matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime, a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure.
The Architect essentially explained that there had been 7 incarnations of the Matrix prior to the version featured in the trilogy, but the one only manifested in 5 of them. The first 2 beta versions failed because they were so mathematically perfect that humans couldn't accept them. This ultimately led to the machines devising a complex system whereby the most resistant to these constructs would be released and inspired through a fake prophecy of the One, completely oblivious to the fact that his journey would end with the Matrix being reset and the cycle starting anew. The prophecy was essentially a lie.
Bullshit.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
We're left to believe that Neo seemingly breaks the tradition set by his predecessors.
If I were you, I would hope that we don't meet again.
We won't.
But what if they all made the same choice of rebelling against this status quo, and each iteration of the One isn't another person, but the same person whose mind is thrown into simulation upon simulation upon simulation? When Neo puts up his hand and successfully destroys a bunch of Sentinels, manages to see Smith in code, and uses his telepathic powers to destroy a barrage of missiles in the real world, our understanding of reality is thrown into disarray. There are 2 explanations for what is happening here. Either Neo and Smith's powers have transcended the Matrix and now exist within the real world, which would make no sense. Or what we know as the real world is just another layer of simulation in version 8 of the Matrix, used to trick everyone into believing they have the power of choice.
Candy?
As I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the program as long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at a near unconscious level.
While the divide between simulation and reality is eminently clear within the first film, Reloaded and Revolutions start to deliberately blur the lines. In the binary sense of reality versus simulation, The Matrix points to Plato's cave's foundational idea. In his work Republic, the allegory essentially centers on a group of people who live chained up in a cave, only ever seeing one wall, not unlike the humans we see plugged into the Matrix. On that wall, they see shadows of objects that pass by, leading them to believe that these shadows are what reality is. Only after they're freed from the cave and get to see the real world can they understand that reality is not what they once thought. The allegory of the cave goes deeper. As a thought experiment, it questions if we can ever know what we're looking at is reality, tying back to one of the Matrix's key influences, the works of French philosopher Jean Baudrillard, particularly his 1981 paper, Simulacra and Simulation. Instead of the Platonic binaries found in Plato's cave, Baudrillard argued that the line between simulation and reality is one that is unknowable. As if one reality is false, what is there from stopping the next reality from also being a simulation? How can we know if either the Matrix or the real world presented to us is real? We can't. This is the simulation hypothesis that Baudrillard commits to, one where reality and simulation are so indistinguishable that it's totally unknowable which side of the line we're on. Hence, when speaking about the Matrix with Le Nouvel Observateur, Baudrillard argued that the Matrix is surely the kind of film about the Matrix that the Matrix would have been able to produce. This means that everything we've witnessed in the Matrix in the real world, from Cypher's betrayal, the destruction and resurrection of both Neo and Smith, the highway chase, Smith becoming a virus, Trinity's death, the last stand of Zion, and even the final fight between Neo and Smith were all components of a simulation within multiple simulations. If we end up peeling back the layer once more in the upcoming installment, The Matrix Resurrections, we might finally be able to see a reality that is liberated from the restrictions designed into these simulations. Well, that's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. And yeah, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure. Nihat here with Film and Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.
Do you believe in fate, Neil?
No,
Why not?
because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean.